sure I'm going to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something, completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. It's pre-Wood Lara. What time is it? 4:34. You're here early, Sonny.
I'm here on business, KUGAN. Not here on leisure today. I've got a couple of corners to work today. You know what I mean? Maybe pass on my experience, my know-how to the younger generation.
You've got a lot of things to pass on, shall we say, to that generation. Sonny, by the time this goes out, it will probably be Sunday, so I will ask your opinion about Woodland Lara first of all. Great main event here in Nottingham.
Yeah, fantastic. One I said, for me personally, I don't think if I was responsible for advising Lee Wood, one that I would potentially have pushed him towards, but the heart and determination and the sort of desire to be the best fighter in the weight will probably, pay dividends when he actually gets in the ring. That confidence, that sort of running towards the fire rather than running away from it. Like, a lot of fighters end up trying to avoid fights for so long, they get backed into a corner, whether it's fight or lose your title or something. And then when they get in there, they're already half beat because they knew deep down they didn't want it. He's, as Eddie was saying, he's the underdog in his hometown as the champion of a voluntary defence. I don't know when that last happened, and it's not like Lara is the Canelo of the weight or like an absolute superstar compared. It's just a bigger fight, and he went for the biggest fight possible, and I can respect that. Like, that's a fighter that anyone can and everyone should get behind.
Well, like I said, it's quite early here in Nottingham, so by 10 o'clock this place should be absolutely rocking. So we shall see what happens in regards to that.
Yeah, so by the final question of this interview, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see where you're going. Let's talk about you anyway. What is going on with you, Sonny?
Yeah, we're working on a few things behind the scenes. I want something big. I don't really want to keep defending against as good of a voluntary and then my mandatories over and over again. Like, I've done that. I've shown what that does for me. There's big fights out there. It's about getting them over the line. I'm here today in enemy waters, so to speak, trying to infiltrate and get where
Are you though?
Depends who I fight next. But in all seriousness, there's fights on these sides of the water that I really want. They're willing to work with me, I'm willing to work with them. So it's conversations that have been going on. It's conversations that we've been trying to make, but not just for now. Like, the last 6 months we've been trying to get Martinez over the line and struggled to. There is some other options outside of there. There's, Bam Rodriguez, who's probably the biggest fight, even though maybe it's not as personally marketable as the Martinez would be because of the history that's there. But then even like in the meantime, maybe a Christopher Rosales again. They've got options on him since he beat was meant to be my next mandatory, Velasquez. Maybe he's an option, but I don't really want to stay at flyweight no much longer. I'm the number one. I'm the guy. If no one's ready to see me, I'll move on to the next challenge. Like, right now, any way you can look, I'm the number one in the division. I probably should have the Ring Magazine title already, seeing as I beat the last long-standing number one in Maruti. Then a few fights later, I'm now the number one. Well, Martinez, I never beat a number one to become a number one. Well, I've beat a number one, then had to fight more champions and more challenges to then become the one. I should be the Ring Magazine champion in my eyes. And I think Alvarado is a harder fight for me than Martinez is, even. So I feel like I've already proved it. And if these fights don't come in the next 12 months, or less than that now, we're down to about 11 months, they won't be there for me. Like, I will go, probably less than that. If I don't get a big fight for my next one, I'll be looking at super flyweight, even bantamweight. Like, I'm not just sitting here holding on to my one world title thinking, without this I'm nothing. That's just the first step, the IBF title. If they let me get the fights, there's going to be WBCs, WBOs, WBAs, the ring at flyweight, and then it's up for the next challenge after that. If they don't give me the opportunity, I'm just going to tell everyone again for the 7th year consecutive that I'm probably the most avoided fighter in Britain, and we're going to keep it moving. I don't need to stall or delay or wait on anyone. Like, we're good over here. I get paid nice. I fight regularly. It doesn't matter to me if these fights don't happen, but I want them to really make my legacy. They're the fights out there that people want to see, so I want them.
It seems for the last, 18 months or so, 2 years maybe, that every interview you've done, the question of Martinez, etc., and, you've been in clips with Eddie Hearn, who showed us his tonight, but it hasn't happened. So when you kind of come down to the bare bones of it, whose fault is that?
Martinez and their team. I don't know if it was just wanting to make the fight a bit bigger for the money that they thought needed to get paid to them. We're hearing mad figures of 7 figures that they're asking for. So if that's really what they think, maybe I'm their retirement purse. Who knows? Maybe they don't think that Martinez has got that many more fights after what I do to him. Because I think they all know they're up against it. That's why it's been so hard. He's fought everyone else, all these other killers. Why does he want his biggest purse to fight me when he's already fought Roman Gonzalez? It doesn't make sense to me. So it's nothing to do with me. Eddie knows that. Eddie knows how I'm probably... Bear in mind, he's never put a contract in front of me. I've agreed to fight quicker than probably anyone he's got on his roster. Unfortunately, it took 24 hours and literally one line of conversation each side, and the fight was made on my side to travel across the world to the altitude, Mexico City, to fight on the 22nd of October, and it never happened. And not because I weren't ready. I thought I had to fight 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, against a much smaller stakes, a lot smaller event, and against probably a harder fighter, in my opinion. I'm sorry, I think 38 wins, 33 knockouts, beaten world champions, only lost for world titles, and had a very, last year, 8-year unbeaten streak. And like I said, 30 knockouts in I think the first 4 rounds or 3 rounds or something. I do think that's a much harder fight than Martinez, and I got less of everything for it. So I want Martinez, but I'm not getting held at ransom. If they don't want to fight, they don't want to fight. Then if Bam doesn't want to fight as well, all that's ever going to get left as like the afterthought of these fighters' careers is that it was avoiding me. And I'm not a big puncher, I'm not the scariest, but they know when they get in the ring with me, they're going to look average, below average usually.
Well, the most awkward though.
I'm the most awkward fighter you can get in the ring, because what I'm doing is literally taking what they're giving to me, spinning it around and hitting it back to them. Whatever input they're putting in, it's going through the machine and coming back as me winning the fight. It doesn't matter. I'm not going in there with any sort of set plan apart from to react to everything they're doing. And I think the fighters are onto it. Now you look at Eddie Hearn putting a poll out on who at the end of the year do you think is going to be the #1 flyweight. You've got Bam Rodriguez, you've got Martinez in there, you've got Galal Yafai and me. On Eddie Hearn's, when he promotes the rest of the 3 fighters, I've got over 50% of the votes, and everyone else is chopping up 10s and 12s. Like, the general consensus right now is that I'm the man. So until someone comes to beat me, they will never be the #1 at the flyweight. Yeah, you might have done good at super flyweight, but you haven't fought me here. You haven't, and no one's got close to beating me. You jumped in against Israel Gonzalez, Bam Rodriguez, and because he moved his back feet, you struggled for round after round after round. People going, actually, he's not as good as we thought he was. Martinez had Samuel Kimona at 8-0, moved his feet, again, nowhere near to what I can do. Everyone's going, oh, he's rubbish, there's no chance he's beating Sonny now. And that's just someone that's slightly better at moving back. I am probably the most elite, back-footed, backwards-minded fighter that there is in boxing today. That's why I can box with my hands down, walking around, doing what I want to do. And for 12 rounds, it seems easy. Against no matter who it is, the world #1, the weight below world champion coming up a weight to fight you, yet he's even bigger than you already. Like, doesn't matter who it is, it's always looked the same. Bam Rodriguez, Martinez are really the only 2 fights I want this year. I want to go May and I want to go end of the year. Ideally. 2 fights, but 2 big fights. Unification. Hopefully unification undisputed if it can be made that way. But Martinez, really the first. But like I said, it's almost boring. Like, it gets to the point where I'm saying the same shit over and over again. And we're just stuck at that place until he's ready to turn around. Unfortunately, with boxing, my biggest gripe, if you ask me what I would change about the sport, is that you can't force fighters into the ring with you. And as a world champion, you can't earn yourself into a mandatory spot anywhere else. So as a world champion, if none of the other fighters want to fight you for a world title, there is nothing you can do about it. If you can't make it over the negotiation table during their voluntary, there's nothing you can do about it. The board won't order it. So I'm sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place in the Who Needs Me club, as well as being the highest paid fighter in the division. It blows my mind. That's how much my opposition must rate me to need to all of that things to even think about fighting. We haven't even got really far enough into discussions to like really get there for most of these fighters, because the answer is no from their management and their trainers before the end of my name gets. As soon as they hear Sonny, it's no, straight away. They don't even hear that Edwards come out. I swear to God. It's ridiculous, I think.
Would you say at this point of your career, which it shouldn't be because obviously you're world champion, etc., etc., but would you say this is the most frustrating part of kind of your career to date? Not kind of knowing you should be lined up for fight with the best of the best, but it's not the case at the moment.
Do you know what I think it is though? Like, I've had practice, because at British level, I couldn't get anyone to fight me for that. When I was British champion, 18 months went by, not one other fighter in the divisions accepted a voluntary offer that was offered to the whole division, and not one fighter in my division put in to fight me. They didn't request with the board and eliminate our fight with me. So I was 18 months, 18 circles in a row, no challenge for the British title. So I'm used to this. I've always had to go the long way around and do more, but unfortunately now for the powers that be, without any handouts, without any sort of gifted fights or over promotion, or being brought around famous people to sort of help build up my profile and really get the sort of luxury promotion push that some prospects get, without that I've managed to put myself into the top of the sport and somehow elbowed my way into having some sort of voice, some sort of, when people fight, when I fight, it could be any platform. I proved it. The numbers I was getting on Eurosport, Free Sport, is as good as some people are getting on the main platform channels. And I know that because I've seen the viewers. So I'm not struggling. Even Fight TV, I felt like I had the biggest fight of my career, but it was in my own arena, and it was my, we made it, we built, we put it together. By the end of it, like where everything was going to be. So, like, I'm in a very good place. Like I said, I've shown to the promoters my worth, and they know that. So it's not like I'm struggling for it no more, like I was at one point.
Well, look, Eddie, come here quickly. Yeah, quickly, take it off.
Yeah, we're good. We're on the same team today.
Help him.
Help him? It's not down to me to help him, is it? What do you mean, what, help him?
Oh, I'm just saying to you. Like, we keep asking about...
Eddie knows that it's not him or me that the fights hasn't happened. It's the actual fighters. And we don't need to point at direct ones, but he knows I'm not lying. That's why I don't need to look at him. Because I am ready to make a fight with the top to list of world-class fighters you've got at my weight, the weight above. So
Bam Rodriguez.
Yeah, Bam Rodriguez, Martinez. I think that Jesse Rodriguez is the fight that will happen sooner rather than later. But it's up to he's got his own team. Mm-hmm. Let him do their job.
You talk a lot as well, mate.
My job, mate. If I didn't talk, you'd be fucked.
He just said he didn't talk, I'll be fucked. There's a little bit of truth in that.
Yeah,
but
100%.
yeah, go on.
But yeah, so like Eddie said, and he knows I weren't lying, I am so easy to make a fight with because I don't even want the most money in the world. Like, I don't. I want a competitive rate that I know I'm not getting bumped, and I'm not losing the fight at the negotiation table, because unfortunately for me, to my downfall, I guess, the opportunity means just as much as getting every single pound out of the fight. Hence why I can confidently say that against Eddie right there, because he knows that I'll fight Bam Rodriguez. He knows that I'll fight Martinez. And again, look, we was getting mentioned and pushing towards and trying to get the Martinez over the line. He just maybe give me a tip off there that the Martinez is not happening. Maybe Bam Rodriguez, because Bam Rodriguez gets to fight, and then he probably want to fight me, because he won't want everyone else going, well, hold on, you're not going to add to the another list of fighters that avoided Sonny. Are you going to do that as well? Because if he does that now, after Martinez, all the fighters on the way up, how hard it's been, then all that does is build up my whole mystique of being an avoided fighter. So I don't know if they would allow that to happen, and I don't think they would let me capitalise and really promote the life out of that. Because could you imagine now, right now, if for the next year campaign I couldn't get Martinez or Bam Rodriguez in the ring? No wonder why Eddie ran off. Do you know what I mean? Imagine.
No.
But what fight? If you was Eddie, what fighter would you rather represent? The one that's out here looking at the camera, wanting all these fights, or the ones that disappear, get their teams to thing, or put up lies in interviews? Like, what would you rather as a promoter?
Sonny, the reason I even said to him, like, help him, it's not a case of, I'm not saying you need help, I'm saying that there are the most two significant fights that he could have input in to do with your career. That was more of the kind of statement to Eddie.
No, but I know he wants to make the events. Like, Edwards versus Martinez, Edwards versus Rodriguez, however you want it. On the schedule, bear in mind it's a flyweight fight, right now the schedule he's talking about would be one of the best fights. Might not be the best, it might not be the biggest name, but top 3 for most people, if they're linking up his schedule, that fight's probably on there, either of them. Because one, his crowd and his supporters and his network might not have ever really been exposed to my fights. They probably heard of me, probably seen my brother. They probably saw the Martinez backstory. They probably seen Martinez before that. They probably then see Rodriguez get crowned. So they've all seen it. The interest is there from everyone except the fighters. So that's where we're at. So until you ask a fighter, why have you not fought and put it in their hand, we're never going to know. We're never going to know.
Okay, well look, second fight of the night's just about to start, so Sonny Edwards, thank you very much for your time. Have you got anything else you want to add?
Nah, man, just shout out to all my supporters, to my sponsors, to my team, in front of the scene, behind the scenes. It's been a long road. I think, I'm 27 now. I've been pro for about 7 years. And it's been a good 7 years, you know what I mean? So here's to another 7, and maybe another 7 more, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's good, man.
What have you done to your hair?
Is that what we're doing on camera?
No, what have you done to it?
I've shortened it. I've got it, you know what I mean?
Shortened it, that's it?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it?
That's it. I went Turkey and now my hairline's coming back. Like, you're gonna see it start growing here. Because I've got dots all in my head. Like, if you look really, really
Just
close.
look different, that's all. So what have you done to it?
If you look really close, I've had 1,000 needles stuck into my head and microfiber pieces of hair.
Definitely haven't.
Can you not see them? I'm gonna have a hairline down here soon, below my eyebrows.
Sonny Edwards, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV. Good luck with the rest of the night, and yeah, hope you get the fights you need.
Bro. I'm going to share something with you that might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from here, and this has been like a therapy session.